Hi, I'm Scott Humphrey, CEO of the World Floor Covering Association, and this is Leadership Live. And this week on the lead story, I want to talk to you about ownership and share with you a personal experience that recently happened to me. I was traveling out of town and had a desire for some Japanese food, so I got online and looked up a place that I thought might be reputable. It was a Kobe Japanese steakhouse. It's a franchise. I knew it was reputable, and so I decided to go there. I was surprised to find the location, and when we got there was no one else, maybe one other couple of people eating in the entire restaurant. Now, we were a bit early, so that was okay. But before long, after we had ordered and had a bit of our appetizer, the owner, who also happened to be the cook, came out and he was walking around. He went to the other couple. We listened to a bit of their conversation. We couldn't help but overhear it, being the only other ones in the restaurant. And then he came over to us, and I asked him how long they had been here. And the words that came out of his mouth next were the catalyst for this topic today. He said, "I have failed my company." And I said, "What do you mean?" And he said, "Well, they were looking to put a Japanese steakhouse here, and I picked the wrong location and not been able to get the traffic where I need it to be." I was shocked to hear a leader own a decision like this, because I'm used to leaders who own the successes, but oftentimes leaders don't own the failures. Ownership is about responsibility, and ownership doesn't tell me what's important to you. It tells me who you are. In fact, I sometimes wish we had the same tactic that they did in ancient Greece. They had some lawmakers who would create these crazy laws, and they got tired of that. And so their practice was that they would put you up on a platform with a noose around your neck. And when you proposed a law, if they decided that law was a good one, they would remove the noose. But if they decided it was a bad one, they would remove the platform. You can imagine that people didn't get up and propose laws that would simply benefit them for their own glory when they realized there was a cost to it. Ownership has a cost to it. But you need to make sure that what you're claiming as your own is truly yours. I read a humorous story recently about a lady who was between flights at an airport. She stopped and grabbed a bag of cookies, and she sat down, and before long she heard a rustling next to her, and the gentleman next to her had opened the bag of cookies and taken one out to eat it. And she was a bit flabbergasted. She didn't know what to think, but she didn't want to make a scene, and so she just gently reached down and grabbed one too. Before long she heard the rustling again, and he had reached down and grabbed another. And so she did as well, and went through the whole process until there was only one cookie left. And she said she could not believe, but she saw him snap the cookie in two and slide half of it over to her, and he ate the other half. She could not believe the gall of this gentleman digging into her bag of cookies. She finally got up and grabbed her stuff and stormed away, boarded her flight, got in her seat, opened her bag, and found her bag of cookies. She was claiming ownership of something that was not truly hers. It's a humorous story, but it has a pivotal point to it that relates to ownership. You can only own something that is truly yours. But what you own as a leader is not simply what is yours, but what happens under your tutelage. That means that the decisions that are made by those that report to you, the decisions that are made by your organization, you must own those. I'm simply diving in right now to a book written by a couple of Navy SEALs called Extreme Ownership, and it's fascinating to me. You'll be hearing more about it in the coming weeks. Listen, a story about a Japanese steakhouse where the owner of that steakhouse, that franchise, claims that he has failed his company. That's fascinating. A humorous story about a lady who eats another man's bag of cookies thinking they are her own. That's funny, but those are just two stories. And your story is the one that you're writing now, and I am confident it is much more fascinating than those two. Ownership. It's vital in leadership. Now go out there and live the story that you want other people to tell.